Hey y'all, thanks for tuning in again. Let's get straight into this bralette slash bikini top, child. Okay, so first things first, we're going to need our yarn. I'm using Hobby Lobby. I love this cotton. For the pink version, however, you'll have to use, I love this cotton yarn in the color pink. And for the multicolor yarn, you'll have to use Big Twist Watermelon Stipple because they no longer have Crafted Secret, y'all. You'll also need a 4.0 millimeter hook, measuring tape, scissors, and of course a tapestry needle to weave in ends. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to do our first cup. I'm just showing you what our cup will look like based on both colors. So here's the pink, and I started with the multicolor yarn. And since the solid color yarn is acting as a multicolor yarn for the yellow one, this is how that one is going to look, okay? So once we start with our multicolor, then we'll switch back to our solid color and so on, so forth. Let's get started. So since we're starting with our multicolor, solid color for this, you're going to start with a slip knot. Then you're going to place your hook inside your slip knot, and we're going to chain up 14. Okay, so once you have all 14, I'll meet you back here and we'll start to create our next part. Okay, so now we're going to place our first half double crochet in that third chain from the hook. Okay, and now you'll just continue all the way down with half double crochets until you get to the very last chain. So in total, you'll have 12 half double crochets. Okay, and it'll look something like this. Now we're going to prep for our color change. So you're going to take the other color yarn, and I'll show you the pink one. So you're going to take your pale pink or your pale yellow yarn, and we're going to begin to create these rows around, all right? Okay, so I'm just going to place my hook back into that loop. Then I'm going to grab my pale yellow. I'm going to create a slip knot so that I'm able to attach it to my project. All right, now I'm going to place that hook into that loop, tighten it so that it fits around the hook, and I'm going to pull that loop through. Now I'm just going to give that other color yellow a tug so that it's tight and secure, and now I'm going to pick back up that pale yellow, and I'm going to create a chain one, just tugging on both yarns a bit so that they're secure. I'm going to turn my work, and now I'm just going to do half double crochets while grabbing, like weaving in that one tail as I'm going down the row. So you'll place one half double crochet in each stitch up until you get to the top. And once we get to the top, I'll show you what we're going to do differently. I'm going to cut that dark color yarn, so you'll cut your multicolor yarn too so that it's not in the way as you're creating those half double crochets. All right, y'all, so we place in our last half double crochet in there before we get to the very top. Now we're going to place 3 half double crochets in the very top stitch, but make sure you're not going in that hole you see as I'm pointing to it, but you're going at the very top, the very top stitch, y'all, so that you're not creating a big gap or hole in your project. So I'm going to place my hook into both stitches. So you see how it's going through both loops, okay? And I'm going to create my first half double crochet. Then I'm going to place 2 more in that same stitch, y'all. All right, that's 1. And then I'm going to place 1 more. You'll know if you're placing it in the right loop if there's no huge gaps, okay? It may take you a little bit to find it, and that's perfectly fine. Just pause the video and do so. But once you have that, you'll just create half double crochets on this other side, making sure that it matches the number on the side that is already completed. Okay, and once you do that, I'll meet you at the end. Okay, we're at the end of row 2, and this is what it should look like with our pale yellow, or if you're doing pink, your pale pink yarn. And no matter the size you're going for or the coverage you're going for, you'll need to create 5 more rows in this solid color. Okay, so we're going to chain 1, turn our work, and we're going to place 1 half double crochet in each stitch across, or each half double crochet across, just as we did before. And I'll meet y'all at the very tippy top where we'll do our 3 half double crochets in the top stitch. Okay, so we're coming up on that last stitch before that top stitch. Now we're just going to do the same thing, making sure you're placing your hook under both loops and putting 3 half double crochets in that top stitch. Now you'll just continue with your half double crochets on the other side until you get to the end. And then I'll show y'all what's next, which is just repetition. So now we're here. We just finished our 3rd row, and this is what it should look like. Okay, so no matter what size you're going for, you're going to do 4 more rows before we get to that texturized pattern that you see here that I'm showing you on both cups. So go ahead and do 4 more rows, which will leave you with a total of 7 rows, and I'll meet you here. All right, y'all, so this is what it should look like after you've done those last 4 rows. Now I'm going to show you how we can create that texturized pattern. Remember, this is completely customizable and optional. But what you're going to do is place your stitch back into that loop, chain up 1, turn your work, and you're going to crochet your half double crochets in the back loops. Okay, in the back loops only. So this row will be working in those back loops. So we'll put our first half double crochet in the back loop, and you'll continue all the way until you get to the top. For the top, it's not much of a difference, but I'll still show you what you have to do. So go ahead and place your half double crochet in the back loops only, and I will meet y'all at the top. Okay, now we're coming up to the very top stitch, and I'm just going to place 3 half double crochets in the back loop only. So it's the same thing. Instead of placing the half double crochets in the entire stitch, you'll just place them in the back loops only. And then we'll continue to work in the back loops only down the remainder of the row, placing 1 half double crochet in every stitch. It's simple, y'all. That's all you gotta do. Continue with that, and then I'll meet you back here where we'll start to talk about sizing, okay? Okay, y'all, so this is what it'll look like, and you see that beautiful new texture that we have here just in the middle of our bralette cup. I think this is so cute. It's just so different. Okay, so now let's talk sizing. So we're going to grab our measuring tape, and I'm just going to measure this. This is about a little less than 5 inches, y'all. I don't know the exact measurements. Maybe I'll come back and type it here. But what you're going to do is just continue to create these rows until you reach your desired size. I'm going to put up a chart of what I usually go for when it comes to size, and I'll show you where on your measuring tape it'll be if you're going for extra small through a extra large and so on. But if you want to hold the cup up against yourself until you reach your desired size, that is perfectly fine. If you're following along with me, you'll complete 3 more rows, and I will meet you at the last row to show you how we'll do the color change. However, if you're making a smaller or larger size, pause here and continue to create as many rows as needed. Once you're ready, switch to this timestamp to see how to do the last row with the color change. So I'll meet everyone at the color change row, okay? See y'all there. Hey y'all, so if you're following along with me, I just completed my other 3 rows, and if you're going for a smaller or larger size, you're still at the right place because we're about to do our last and final row for our bralette, which will have our color change, okay? So for your last row, you'll chain 1, turn your work, place in a half double crochet in every stitch. We all know this. And I will meet y'all halfway around the cup. This is where I stopped at, and I'm just going to grab my other cup and show you that I stopped like not really halfway, but at a good point to place the other color. Feel free to do this or to go down a little more, however you want your cup to look. But regardless, I'll show you how we'll do the color change once more. You'll just create a slip knot like we did before, and then we'll reattach it to our project. So I'm just going to place my hook back into that loop, place that other color yarn onto my hook. Then I'm going to pull that loop through, and I'm going to tug on both yarns so that they're tight. Cut that pale color yarn so that it's not in the way, like usual. And then I'm going to create half double crochets in that solid color acting as a multicolor all the way down for the remainder of the row, and this will be our last and final row for our cups. So go ahead and continue with your half double crochets, and I'll meet you at the end. All right, we reached the very end of the cup, and this is what it should look like if you chose to follow along with me. If not, it'll look something similar to this. Perfectly fine. Now we're going to do the bottom row at the bottom of the cup, okay? So you'll turn your cup upside down. You'll place your hook into that loop, and you'll place a single crochet in every loop that you can place it in. It doesn't matter if it's right next to each other. I know that this row does tend to get a little weird, but as long as you're placing a single crochet in every stitch that you can, you'll be completely fine. Once you do this, I will meet you at the end of the row, and then we're going to start our surface crochet heart. All right. Okay, so now we just created our border for our first cup, and this is what it should look like. Now we're just going to cut our yarn, insert our hook back into that loop, chain 1, and pull that loop through to fasten off, okay? And that's our first cup, y'all. Congratulations on finishing your first one. I'm going to show you a little bit of how to do the second cup before our surface crochet heart. Okay, so this is the second cup. I'm just going to show you really quickly how I did the color change for this one, but it's fairly repetitive and it becomes redundant, so I don't want to keep teaching y'all the same thing. But to start the second cup, we'll do what we did the last time, but this time we're starting with our pale color yarn or our pale yellow yarn, and we're just going to do as many rows. I think this will be 2 rows before we switch back to the yellow. Okay, so I did 2 rows with the pale yellow yarn. Now I'm just preparing for my color change by creating a slip knot with my solid color yarn. Going to insert my hook back into that loop, place that loop on top. Y'all know the drill for the color change. Pull that loop through, right? I'm going to cut my pale yellow. Okay, and now I'm just going to tug on both yarns, chain 1, right? Turn my work. And I'm going to place a half double crochet in a couple of the stitches around. I did go all the way to the top and then a little bit on the other side, but I'm going to fast forward so that y'all can see exactly where I ended off. Okay, y'all, so I'm coming up on that last stitch, and it should look something like this. I'm just going to grab that cup that I'm just mimicking, and as you see here, that is exactly what I did. I'm just now going to switch back to my pale yellow yarn, finish that out, and just continue on with the cup. I won't show y'all how to do this cup verbatim because I feel like it's just repetitive. But if you want to mimic my cup, you can just pause here at this timestamp and do your best to mimic it. Or you can just create one of your own, okay? I really do want to show y'all how to do the surface crochet heart. So we're going to get into that right about now. Okay, so I just switched back to the pink cup so that y'all are able to see better. But we're just going to create a slip knot to start with our dark color yarn. Okay, and we're just going to create like a straight line almost to start the heart. All right, you'll see what I mean in just a second. So you're going to take your hook, place it in the front of the cup, take your yarn and place it in the back of the cup. And then you're just going to pull that yarn from the back to the front. All right. Then you're going to reinsert your hook into the front of the cup, grabbing that yarn from the back and creating a slip stitch. And you'll continue to do this for a few stitches. You're just going to go through the front of the cup, pulling the yarn from the back of the cup. Okay. Just going up every stitch. Make sure your tension isn't too tight for this or too loose either. Just make sure it's just right so that your stitches aren't too tight, because if they are, it'll start to scrunch up your cup. Okay, so we're just going to keep going, creating a bit of a straight line to start our heart. All right, so I'll show you a little bit of what it looks like. Okay, we're creating a diagonal heart. So now I'm just going straight once more. Okay, now we have our straight line. And I think I'm going to start the curvature of the heart in just a second. Yes, so you're going to turn your bralette to the side, placing your hook back into the front, grabbing that yarn from the back. Okay. And you're just going to create stitches that go in a curvature of a heart. I'm just going right next to the stitch that I just did. Now I'm going to start to go down. Okay, so we can create that down point of the heart. And as you can tell, as I'm doing this, I'm turning my cup to the side or upside down so that I can get the shape that I'm going for, okay? You may have to do this a few times to get it right, and that's perfectly fine. Pause if you have to. But I just created that almost like a candy cane shape with the surface crochet, okay? And now I'm going to continue to go down until I reach like a point where I feel is best to go up at. Right? That's what it looks like so far. Okay. Now I'm showing you I will want to create the next half, almost candy cane shape. Okay, so I'm going to start a little further off, creating those slip stitches. Going in an upwards direction now. I'm taking a look at it. I don't like it, which is okay to make mistakes. So I'm going to try again. Going down again so that I can make more of a downward line before going on the other side. Okay, and now you're going to go back in an upward direction once you feel you got that point to the heart. And I'm just going through the front, pulling the yarn from the back, creating those slip stitches. All right, I'm just going to continue to go around, just creating that curve. Okay, there we go. It's okay if you have to stop, pause it, or if you have to frog it and start over. That's perfectly fine to get the shape. Just take your time. All right. I turned my cup upside down. Now I'm just going back down in a direction to close up the heart, as you can see. Okay. So just start to turn your project as you're making the shape. Right. I'm going to keep placing my slip stitches where I see fit. Okay. Here we are. Okay, and I'm just going to continue going down so that I can meet the other side of my heart, so the other end of the heart, by continuously turning my cup and placing in slip stitches. I'm at the very bottom, and there we are, y'all. There we have it. She's cute. If you are not happy with it, feel free to frog it and start over. But I'm happy with mine. She's diagonal just like I wanted her, and she's cute. Okay? So once you meet the end point of the other side, to fasten off, you're just going to cut your yarn, take your hook, put it through that loop where you finished at, and you're just going to grab that loop and pull it through. Okay, pull that yarn through. Okay, and that tightens it. Now you're just going to pull this actual tail to the back. So you'll go from the back of the cup to the front of the cup and just pull that yarn back, so to hide that tail. All right, and you'll weave in those tails, and I'm just going to bring back the yellow to show y'all how we'll do our straps. Okay, and I did place the hook on the other cup. It doesn't matter which one, whichever one you like. Okay, now let's put our straps onto these cups. Okay, so now let's create our slip knot with our multicolor, or in this case, solid color yarn. And then we're going to attach it to our first cup. Pick any cup you want to start with. And I'm going to place my hook not in between those two loops, okay? Because I don't know, I feel like that's not as secure, so I just place it right directly underneath, okay? And make sure that it's aligned right, and you see that's where my straps will start. So I'll grab my yarn, place it onto my hook, pull the yarn through, and now I created one chain, and I'm going to chain a total of 150, okay? It depends on how long or short you may want your straps, but I'm going to do a total of 150 chains. Once you get there, I will meet you back to show you what we're going to do next. Okay, so now that I've done my 150 chains, I'm just going to chain up one more, and then I'm going to place a single crochet in that second chain from the hook. And I'll continue placing single crochets in each chain going down the row. You'll continue placing these single crochets in every stitch down the row, and I will meet you as we get closer to our cup. So as we get closer to the bottom of our row. Okay, now we're nearing the end of our row. You're just going to place a single crochet in every stitch. Okay, and then at the very end, you're going to place your hook into the top of the bralette cup and create a slip stitch, okay? And that'll just secure it. To fasten off, we're going to take our scissors, cut our yarn. Now we're going to create a chain one, pulling that yarn through and tugging on it tightly just to secure it. And this is how your strap will look for your first bralette cup. You're then going to do the same thing for your other cup. And once you do that and you have both straps, I will meet you back here so that we can do the strap for our back. All right? Okay, so there we have it. We did our strap for our other cup. This is what it should look like. Now let's start our straps for our bags. So you're going to take your multicolor or solid color yarn, create a slip knot per usual. And now we're going to chain. For my back, I did about 200 chains. You could do more, you could do less, but I did around 200 just so that it'll be long enough for it to go down my back and hang a little bit because I like the way that looks. So go ahead, chain 200. I'll meet you back here. Once you have your 200 chains, you'll do what we did before, placing a single crochet down the second chain from the hook, and you'll continue to place single crochets all the way down, y'all. I know it's long, it's 200 of them, but take your time, turn on a movie, turn on your favorite YouTuber and get to it, okay? And I'll meet y'all at the end and we'll attach the cups and we'll be done. Okay, so I placed my last single crochet in that chain stitch. Now we're going to take our scissors, cut our yarn, we're going to fasten off. Okay, and then we're going to attach our cups to our straps. So I'll just show you with one cup and then you'll be able to do it with the other. So you're going to take one of your cups, okay? And then you're going to flip your cup upside down because that's how we'll attach it. So once your cup is upside down, you'll place your hook into that very first stitch on the bottom of your cup. Well, the border, yeah. And then you'll grab your now light color yarn or pale yellow yarn. And we're just going to reattach the yarn to our project. But this time you're going to place the strap on top of the hook. Then you'll place the loop onto the hook. You're going to pull that loop through your project going under that strap. Then you're going to create a chain 1 with that strap inside the yarn, okay? Just like shown. And then you're going to go through every loop across the border, making sure you're going around the straps as well, creating single crochets, okay? Just like that. So you'll go through the border, go around the strap, create a single crochet. And you'll continue this all the way down until you reach the end of the cup. Okay, now we're at that last stitch. I'm just going to create that single crochet. Right now we have our adjustable strap. Now we're going to take our scissors and fasten off. Okay, and now we have our first cup attached to our strap. Now you're just going to take the second cup and do the same thing. Once you have that, we'll be all finished with our bralette. Just gotta weave in our ends, but other than that, y'all, it'll be complete. I'll meet y'all here once I attach the other cup. Okay, y'all, and there we have it. I'm going to weave in my tails, but all in all, this is what your bralette should look like. Thank you again for tuning in. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all in our next tutorial.